That's number 92 in the hymnal, I think.
Find a little talk with
Jesus.
My daddy would stand up.
It makes it right.
My dad would stand up from the back of the sound booth and get into that. I mean, he would be.
Your dad ran sound?
My dad ran sound. My mommy played piano.
And my daddy sang.
And I just,
My mommy
and I just,
Mimi played
I just
piano.
sat anywhere in the church I wanted to. It was a disaster.
My mommy played piano.
Remember that song my daddy sang bass?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're doing the Beyond Sunday podcast. If you know me, my name's Hannah Buttram, and I start every conversation like that because I have a vocal stem. But to my my right...
She also has dyslexia, for those of you that can't
Sorry,
see.
I had to look at my left and right. To my right is Michael Shearon.
Good morning, America.
To my across from me is Paxton Redd.
Hello, everyone.
Pacton.
Paxton.
Then to my diagonal is my favorite part of my bloodline.
Your
my
mom never
favorite-
listens to this podcast anyway.
Dad, you're spoiling it. You're spoiling
Sorry.
it. My favorite part of my bloodline, the funniest guy I know, and the reason I have anxiety and ADHD, Steve Buttram.
You are very welcome. Tate will be, or Pate, whoever's doing the editing. Tate will have a lot to do. So.
Okay, well, these are some of the best people I've ever met in my life. And so now we're going to play a little game. Josh is actually not here today. Unfortunately, he's probably in a state that starts with P and ends with Pennsylvania. So I don't know where he's at.
He's in Kentucky, actually.
Is he really?
Yeah, there's no
I think
P
he's in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
well,
right, so the game we're going to play is Where's Josh?
thanks.
Yeah.
Where is Josh, guys?
You've
In
already
the car
lost.
with Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah. I don't know where Josh is, but I do know he's missing out because there was some popcorn in the office.
Dude, that
Today.
popcorn.
So Alicia Lancaster brought us some small batch gourmet popcorn today. And there was about 9 or 10 bags, something like that, and all different flavors. And we had to rank the flavors. We didn't have to, but we had the great privilege of ranking the flavors.
Yeah.
But in that process, we found some flavor combinations that maybe you wouldn't normally think about that worked, right? And so the top flavors for most people were cheese and caramel.
Stu, that's some standard popcorn flavors.
Like
Right,
combined, though.
but yeah, like the same piece of popcorn covered in caramel, then covered in cheese. And I wouldn't think about caramel and cheese being a great combination. It was fantastic.
You know, it makes sense, though, because you remember those popcorn tins we'd get with the 3?
Christmas time
Christmas
popcorn
tins?
tins?
Yeah. I just ripped that thing out. Let's go to
We'll
work.
shake it up
Yeah, I
and
hate
eat about half of it, shake it up, and then it's just a surprise.
That's the only OCD thing I can do with food,
Okay,
by the way.
nice.
So.
I have not tried any of the popcorn that she brought in yet.
Me
so
neither.
I'm looking forward to
think you
having
need to.
whatever's left.
Well, it made me think.
What
What-
you been thinking about, Paxton?
What are some flavor combinations that you don't think, or most people wouldn't think would work, but they're actually pretty good?
Well, I'll just tell you one of my go-tos, and it's not what we talked about earlier, Steve, but I love a Snickers bar with barbecue Lay's potato chips. Like, those two things in combination are unbelievable. I
Okay.
love them together.
I don't even find that odd, friend.
That's one of my favorite combos, and I'll give you one more. We go to the movie theater, and we're talking about popcorn, so I get popcorn with extra butter, and then I get a whole box of those cookie dough bites. Popcorn and cookie dough bites at the same time is...
So you're spending like $40.
Oh, dude, we're taking out a mortgage every time we go to the movie theater.
Michael's waiting on interest rates to drop again, so we go back to the
We swipe the card and just say, oh, well, somebody will pay for it.
Yeah.
No, it's not too bad. It's not too bad, but we're better than most people. You know, most people bring in their purse and bring in all their own snacks.
I actually wear a hoodie, and I go to Dollar Tree before. Take this out, Tate.
Yeah.
Hurry with that.
Don't take this out, Tate, because that's also a trick of her mother, by the way.
I actually wear a hoodie, and I go to Dollar Tree before. Take this out, Tate.
So
You're
leave
just
that
the
there.
best of both your parents.
She really
What
is.
can I say? What can I say?
She really is. The third draft is usually the better one. So,
Sorry.
one of my favorite things that I like to eat that is kind of weird. I like peanut butter, which is not weird, but I like it with pickles.
Ooh.
What the heck?
Never.
Yeah, like just make a peanut butter sandwich. and like 6 pickles on the side. Just bite of sandwich, bite of pickles, and maybe some Doritos nacho cheese thrown in
Okay.
there, too.
On the sandwich?
Not the pickles, the sandwich. Yeah. Oh yeah, we could do that. Our own bologna too.
Okay. So, I can't do pickles.
Like at all?
Yeah, so I do not like vinegar.
Oh well.
So anything that has a vinegar taste, it just drives me crazy. Which is weird because I wouldn't consider myself crunchy, but I might be crispy. And so,
Okay.
I love to clean with vinegar.
Oh okay.
But
Yeah, I'm never coming to your house.
I do not like vinegar taste.
Maybe that's why. Maybe you just see it as a cleaning product.
Yeah, you think you're eating like a Brillo pad or something. Like you have this flashback of clean floors and a
My
pickle
favorite
taste in your
food
mouth.
combo is vinegar and Brillo pads.
Little gamey, but super clean.
Yeah.
So,
I actually don't even know my favorite food combo. It's probably fries and Chick-fil-A sauce, but that's just normal.
That's just standard, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty
so-
standard.
I would disagree with you, Paxton. I only love dill pickles. I don't like any of that bread and butter. Disgusting. Sweet, disgusting. I do not like that, but I do like
What
pickle.
about hot pickles?
No. I only
Oh, like the Wickles brand?
I love the
I
Wickles.
do love
man.
Wickles.
I had some Wickles today for lunch.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
so good.
Dude. Yeah, I just like the little miniature Clausen dill.
Those are good.
I'm trying to think of something that you ate as a child that people, because I mean, growing up, Hannah and her older brothers, I mean, we ate a lot of like home style, home cooking,
Right.
Meat and 3 kind of things.
Yeah.
Except for Hannah. Hannah was pretty picky about everything as far as food goes, like pinto beans.
Okay, I mess with pinto beans.
Okay, butter beans, no. Black-eyed peas, probably not.
I do like those. I love them.
She's coming around, Steve.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
growing
I have
up.
matured. And you know what I like now? Biscuits.
okay, that's we're gonna,
Biscuits!
Biscuit. Actually, that's strong. I don't love biscuits. The only biscuits I can really tolerate right now, currently at this moment, is Cracker Barrel when they're heavily buttered and they got
right.
grape jelly on it.
So
Love those.
I don't know anything about what we're talking about with the biscuits. Like you're saying, you didn't used to like biscuits.
No,
me
I
take-
did not.
So when we would go on like a
Wow.
family vacation,
What's
Michael,
wrong with you?
you're just getting
What's
it
wrong with
worse. Hang on.
It's going to get worse.
We go on a family vacation, right? And there's nothing better than you're leaving out early.
Yep.
And you're going to hit the Hardee's drive-through, or maybe you're even going to stop at Cracker Barrel or
Yep.
something. If we did a drive-through on the way, say we're driving to the beach and we want to get, and I'm a dad, so I got to get 8 hours done faster than it's ever been done before, right? If we hit a drive-through, Hannah, what do you want? Do they have anything other than biscuits? No, we're at Hardee's. Like, I didn't know they served a meal other than breakfast. I would get a cinnamon raisin biscuit, but it's a biscuit.
Yeah.
She
Valid.
would push Cracker Barrel biscuits away from her. Like, they weren't even hers. They just come out in just that, God save us all kind of basket. Just I'll get them. She'd just be like, no, get this disgusting stuff away from me.
Wow.
Well, now they just change it up. Like, I think they butter them just right now. And I also think my frontal lobe is about 75% there.
Yeah.
So,
She's coming around.
75.
So
Well,
a
I would take the under on that, but okay.
A flavor combination that I want to like. And this has been a frustration for me since childhood because there's just something about that sounds like it's supposed to go together. Vanilla wafers, peanut butter,
I like it.
right? And so when you're eating those, you're like, oh man, this is so good. But for some reason in my mind, I feel like it needs some cheese. And so I try it about every other year.
I did not see that turn coming.
About every other year, I'll be like eating vanilla wafers and peanut butter. And I'm
This
like,
is the year.
man, I don't know why, but
I'm feeling good about 2026.
I
for
feel
you.
like this
I really
needs some
am.
cheese.
like easy cheese, like the canned cheese.
Yeah,
I've
like
tried
the
it all.
straight cheese.
I've tried it
my-
all.
Shredded cheese.
Yeah.
Canned cheese. No, canned cheese. That's
How about
not
some?
cheese.
Next time, just sprinkle some Parmesan right on top of that peanut.
Okay.
butter.
Hey,
That's a good one.
I'm willing to try.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited today. We get to bring you a special cutaway commentary from my brother and cheese expert, Tucker Wells. Take it away, Tucker.
Hey, I just wanted to give my opinion on what was said about the vanilla wafer peanut butter combination needing some cheese. Now, if you're going to use anything smoked, that's probably not going to go super well with that just because the flavors wouldn't mesh well. But if you're going for like a sweeter profile cheese, like cream cheese, which is often used in desserts, I feel like that could add something good to it, especially if it was whipped. You could also add potentially brie. I'm not sure about that combination, but I feel like there's potential there. Anything else may not yield the intended result. Signing out.
But for some reason, I just feel like it should be a good combination, and it never is. But I feel like it should.
I'm feeling inspired.
Yeah.
I might try that tonight at home. I'm about to get me some wafers.
Yeah.
Hey, I used to have this coach, and he was our soccer coach, and he would take a Coke, get a bottle of Coke, and he'd take about 2 drinks out of it. And then he'd whip out this thing of peanuts.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And fill that Coke up with peanuts.
Yes.
That's lethal, dude.
Yeah. So I prefer Pepsi for that.
Okay.
Instead of Coke, but that was the staple of my childhood. Like that was if we got to go to the store, we bought sometimes even an RC. How redneck was that? And peanuts, and it was like, and you just get, hey, I'm getting a little soda. Wait, soda's got crunch to it. I'm getting a little soda. No, it's solid. So yeah.
Ew.
It's a surprise all the way around.
We should probably talk about a sermon.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that.
I could go. Well, I'll be back. I'm gonna go get some peanuts.
We can circle back around. Yeah. Steve's walking out the building right now. He's going to get some peanuts. So, all right, y'all. So Sunday we talked about Romans chapter 10. Just a little recap. We talked about how Paul in Romans chapter 10 is sharing the longing of his heart with us. He's just putting it all out on the table and saying, "Hey, y'all, here's what I'm for." So the longing of his heart was 2 things. He wanted Israel to come to be saved, and then he wanted people to come to understand how to be made right with God. And so we looked at some of this passage, and I really just brought out 3 things that were super clear to me. We talked about the lie of rule keeping. Paul talks about how Israel is doing what they think they should do to be made right with God, and that's by keeping the law. And we really looked at how that is just an impossibility to keep the law, and that the scriptures teach that if you break one part of the law, you're just as guilty for breaking all of the law. So, and it's supposed to be frustrating. We're supposed to look at the law and think this is unattainable. That's the whole point. So we talked about a lie, the lie of rule keeping. Then we talked about the truth of relationship. After Paul goes on to explain about these people they're trying to keep the law, then he tells them the truth that being made right with God is not about us keeping the law. It's about us having a relationship with the one who perfectly kept the law. And his name is Jesus, and that relationship changes everything. And then Paul goes on to explain how does humanity enter into this divine relationship where I get the credit for all of the law keeping that Jesus did, and at the same time, all of the law breaking that I did and the punishment that comes along with it, it gets placed on Jesus. We call that process being saved. And Paul says that for humanity to be saved, we have to confess with our mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in our heart that God raised him from the dead, and then we will be saved. And we talked about how once we are saved, it is a natural process for us to then have a desire to keep God's rules, to keep his rules. So out of this relationship flows rule keeping. And then Paul ended with a series of questions that I like to point out that, hey, this is Paul sharing his burden of responsibility with you. He says, if everybody who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved, how will they believe in him if they haven't heard about him? How will they hear about him unless somebody has told them? How will somebody tell them unless they are sent? How will somebody be sent unless they're first willing to go? And so we kind of ended the morning off with a challenge of like, hey guys, I think we are to be busy about sharing the gospel with people. And we talked about the Great Commission, the last conversation that Jesus has with his disciples where he urged them to go and make disciples. And he told them how. Tell them what I taught you and baptize people in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I challenged our people. I challenged myself with, hey, this burden of responsibility, it's not just for pastors, but I think we're all called to share in ministry. And then, what are we going to do if and when King Jesus asks us the question, tell me who you shared the gospel with? Will that be a conversation that we can't wait to talk about with Jesus, or will that be a conversation where we hang our head and think, I should have done more? I missed it. So that's what we talked about Sunday, the longing of Paul's heart, and hope it was clear, but we talked about a lie, a truth, and then the burden that I feel like we're all supposed to have.
And you did a great job, Michael, by the way, a phenomenal job of presenting the gospel and presenting all those points. But I think one thing we kind of can several things we can talk more about in our time here together is legalism. We hear that word thrown around a bunch. It definitely has a negative connotation to it. So, but how has legalism shaped the culture of the church today?
Well, I'll just be honest, and me and Lane have talked about this a lot. We feel like legalism, in a way, shaped our childhood that we were a part of. We both went to very, very smaller churches growing up as children, and I don't know that they knew that they were pushing legalism as hard as they were. But me and Lena actually talked about this the other night. I remember being Ruben's age, being 8 years old, and thinking that people that drank or smoke were going to hell, right? And because of just the legalistic nature of how things were taught, which is a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
It puts us in a place where we're either earning something because of what we do, or we're missing out on something because of what we do.
I grew up further south than you did. You had to get through the smoke of the deacon smoking to get into the church. So
Yeah.
our legalism was the other direction. So
You know, I think it's not just the culture of the church, but I think it's culture in general that we really have a push towards legalism in everything, right? Everybody wants their kids to behave a certain way, and right, we teach them, you act this way in this scenario, you do this in this place, and you want people to look at you in this manner, and so there is a certain aspect that the rule followers always get the pat on the back, right? And so we grow up with that, and so the church is no different, because now there's just more rules.
Yeah.
It's a little different in the sense that now I've got a list of things that I'm supposed to do, and I can look and compare myself to other people, which we all have that struggle, right? We fall into that comparison trap of I'm not as bad as them.
Right.
They're a little better than me. I've got some work to do in that area, and so the culture of the church really has tried for the longest time just to be a little bit above the culture around us, right? And so as long as the culture in the church can look and say, well, we're a little bit better than society, we're okay.
You know, I mean, have you ever had a salvation conversation with somebody and they answer it this way? I feel like I'm a good person.
Every time.
Friend, that's legalism. Yeah. You're literally doing exactly what we think of so negatively as legalism. I would argue a little further on that and say that the church today has tried to get so far away from legalism that whatever the opposite of opposite of legalism is, like we're allowing everything.
Yeah. Cheap grace.
Hyper grace.
Cheap grace. Yeah. So, and I think we get so far away from that it becomes a dangerous thing, because as a Christian, I don't want to say you have responsibilities to follow Christ, because that's legalism. But you should have, if there's a true heart change,
Right.
you should have a desire, right? Yeah. You should have a desire. We obey God because we love Him, not because He loved us first, right? See, that legalism is we obey Him because He loves us. We obey Him, we follow His commandments because we want to be closer to Him. We want to grow in knowledge of Him. And that's why we obey God. And you talked about the truth about relationship.
Yeah, I'm so burdened, every time I read a story of how Jesus encounters people. And I talked about this a little bit on Sunday, but there's a great book out there called Learning Evangelism from Jesus. And it goes through all these different scenarios where Jesus encounters people. And how Jesus encounters those people is 100% based upon if that person is prideful at all within themselves. Does that person think that they're good? And when he encounters people that think that they're good, he destroys them. Yeah. I mean, he just lights them up one way and down the other. But when he encounters people that understand their brokenness, it's always the same: correction and comfort. And so, Sunday I was trying to be a little bit humorous by, turn to your neighbor and tell him you're not a good person. But I'm being serious. Right. I mean, I don't think that we understand, when we look in the mirror at ourselves and are doing what you say, Paxton, comparing ourselves to culture, I mean, we really can walk away thinking, man, I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
You're just as bad as they are.
Right.
According to James, you've broken a part of the law. So whatever it is that you're putting up on the pedestal as mega sins, you're right there.
Yeah.
We're all right there, and we're all bad people. And that's not to give a license to be bad. That certainly doesn't diminish, what Christ has done in us. He's taken us literally from death to life. But understanding that, man, just because I'm a sinner saved by grace, it doesn't make me perfect.
Yeah. I heard Wes Huff, an apologist and archaeologist and all sorts of things, in an interview say that all good people go to heaven. And like that was just like an instant, like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
And then he said,
He's exactly right.
The problem is Jesus said there's no one good but God.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times, we want to play that comparison game and we're like, well, I'm good. Well, okay, all good people go to heaven. Oh, that sounds great. I'm good. I'll go. But no, nobody's good. Steve, kind of talking about one of the things that you touched on there. I had a conversation with a guy on Sunday that I had just made a profession of faith and gotten saved and taken next steps to follow the Lord and be obedient to Him. And I asked him, I said, what's been the biggest change in your life since you made that profession of faith? And he goes, man, probably just my desires.
Yep. And that's biblical.
I was like, that is so good, to hear somebody that, when the Lord saved me, He changed my heart. He changed my desires. I'm looking for different things now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've just been thinking about, like, there's students that'll get saved and baptized, and a lot of times they'll be like, okay, well, I still want to, I haven't changed, like, I haven't done anything. And I have to talk to them and say, hey, it's okay. Like, just because you got baptized, just because you did what you needed or felt like you needed to do, just because you did that doesn't mean you're immediately going to change. Like, it's a process.
Yeah.
And they have to realize that. And once they realize that like, hey, like Michael said this last week while we were on our mission trip, like 1% better. 1% better each time or every day. The desires change, and you realize, like, hey, now I'm saved and I'm in this situation again. What am I going to do? And when you make the right decision, and you realize the benefits of it. So,
Yeah, I mean that's a great. It's kind of like a park ranger versus a gardener. Okay, when we're saved, we're called to be gardeners, because a park ranger, as great as park rangers are, and if you're a park ranger listening to this podcast, I'm not downing park rangers. Okay, I love you and the Yogi Bear. But if you're a park ranger, your job is to oversee and care for, right? Make sure nobody sets it on fire. Make sure there's no poachers. As a gardener, our job is to change the landscape to make it better. That's our job when we're saved. We become gardeners of the landscape. We change the areas around us, right? We pull out the weeds of our lives, whether it's too much social media, which is a good thing for, I guess, students could struggle with. The people you're around, right? As adults, what are we saying at the water cooler at work? Who are we associating with? What are we doing with our free time? What are we doing in our homes? We have to become gardeners. Gardeners plant and grow things, not park rangers that just watch everything grow away.
yeah.
I like that.
Hey, boo-boo.
Hey, boo-boo, how about a picnic basket? Sorry. We went really deep theological. Welcome to the podcast, folks. This is how, and guys, this is not something we do for the podcast. This happens at 50/50 Canton Pike. Yeah. Monday through Thursday. A lot of us don't work on Fridays.
It's real life.
So you also talked about the burden of responsibility. And I'm on a Dallas Willard kick. I've mentioned on this podcast before. And Dallas Willard and some other folks I've been reading, they talk about the Great Commission. And he said it's really easy. We could call that the Great Commandment. The Great Commission is not a suggestion.
Yeah.
It's not up to the pastor. It's not up to people who are holy. It's not up to people with the spiritual gift of evangelism. Can I tell you something? Evangelism is not a spiritual gift.
That's right.
It's not a spiritual gift. I don't care how much you get it on your survey. Mm-hmm. Evangelism is your duty as a believer to tell about how your soul is now saved and the Savior you worship.
Yeah.
So there should be a burden of responsibility.
Yeah, Dallas Willard is one guy who has said this, but also a guy by the name of Steve Saint wrote a book called The Great Omission. And man, that is so true for what we've done as the church. We've taken something that the Lord has sent us out to do, and we've just completely omitted it.
Yeah. And I think a big part of the Great Commission, I mean, I mentioned it Sunday, but I didn't mention it with as much emphasis of sharing the gospel with people. But I think just by the commandment of the Great Commission, there's a pretty good chance that Jesus might also ask us, tell me about who you baptized. I mean, that's in there. And it is one of the things that I appreciate about New Work, that I love about New Work. It is something that I feel like we're even seeing among our students right now. Our students are sharing their faith with people. And then, so I had a conversation with a girl last week who said, I want to be baptized. And I said, okay. I said, that's awesome. I said, a pastor will be involved, but is there somebody who's poured into you spiritually that you want to baptize you? And she named another student. And it's like, man, like that's what it's about. And so maybe you're listening to this. Listen, one of my biggest burdens, like as a pastor, is that people are going to make it to heaven and had no idea about the responsibilities that they had. I mean, our responsibility is to equip the saints for the works of ministry, and baptism's one of them. So, man, who have you baptized?
Yeah.
Are you pouring into people enough where they would be the first name off their lips when somebody asks the question, who's had a spiritual impact on you?
I can tell you every pastor at New Work Fellowship, every resident for that matter, is not going to be offended if you have someone who you want to physically baptize you.
That's a joyful thing for me.
Yeah, because our arms aren't wet. We're not tired. We don't have to wear much of a microphone.
No, Steve. No. Other direction.
No. We're excited for you to do that. Seriously, though. We're excited for you to do that because we can't pour into everybody.
Right.
Everybody in Hopkinsville is not waiting on Paxton, Michael, Steve, Kevin, Josh, or other pastors to just show up at their house and spread They're waiting on you.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of the Great Commission, right? Jesus said, go therefore and make disciples of all nations. And I think a lot of times when we hear that, we're thinking, okay, I've got to go somewhere else. No, it's actually a false premise of that maybe you've even heard from the church. That actually is as you go. Right? It's as you go to work, as you go to school, as you go spend time with your family and friends, everywhere you go, like we are called to make disciples and to share the good news.
Yeah, and there's the sign when you exit the church. It says, you've been to church, now go and be the church.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just feel like that's a perfect example. It's not like you just drive out, you leave that parking lot. Normally I drive in the exit because...
Same.
That's just how I am, guys. I don't know.
Watch me.
But I leave and it's time to go and be the church, and that means you go and you be the hands and feet of Jesus on Canton Pike, in Hopkinsville, in your home, in your schools. It doesn't mean you have to go to Guatemala or Mexico or anywhere like that. Like you go to home, and that's where you.
And the funny thing about the going, I love Joby Martin says it this way: we are made to make disciples that make disciples that make disciples.
Disciple cycles.
That was easier for you to say than it would be for me. But we make disciples that make disciples that make disciples. So the person that we spiritually influence and maybe lead to Christ, then it's on them. There was the movement some years ago in the Southern Baptist Church called the evangelism explosion, right? The training where you'd be trained to how to present the gospel, because if 2 people became 4 and 4 became 8, 8 became 16, and an explosion of evangelism. The thing is, and Michael touched on this too, words are required. You have to say the words. People will not get saved by osmosis.
Yeah, there was a quote that's been used a lot of times in lots of pulpits. It's credited to Francis of Assisi that said, preach the gospel and when necessary, use words. There's only one problem. Francis of Assisi didn't say that.
Right.
And the Bible contradicts it.
Yeah. 2 problems.
Yeah, you're going to have... Now, listen, there are... Michael, you touched on this in your sermon. You talked about, like, being nice to people.
Yeah, man, be a light. I'm not saying don't be a light.
Right.
But nobody should be banking on the idea of, my life is so interesting, everybody's watching me, and they're paying attention to my social media, and if they'll just watch me closely enough, they'll get Jesus. Like, that's the craziest, most self-centered thought about sharing the gospel that I feel like somebody could have. And
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of people have that thought. And I've had that thought.
Yeah, being a light brings people to you. You think about it. You're in the house, power goes out, there's a light. You go toward that light. Then you find out why that light's on, what that light has, and so from a person standpoint, there's somebody at your workplace, your school, somewhere that is just different. They speak different. They act different. They talk, whatever that is. You find out why, but you still have to present the gospel.
Yeah.
You still have to use the words. And I think we have to be careful with that because it is the Great Commission. We've been commissioned to do that. We are his plan to further the gospel. You're not going to get saved by a beautiful sunrise or sunset, depending on what time of day you like to be up. But you're not going to get saved by that. You can see the power of God in those things.
Sure.
But the gospel is the good news. And last I checked, news has to be spoken.
Yeah. We were in Texas this past week.
It was hot.
It was so hot. Hey, you want to know a fun fact? It's hotter here.
It is hotter here.
It is hotter here.
Is it dry heat there?
It was more dry there.
So out there, when we were there, I'm sorry, Hannah, I'm like
you're
stepping
fine.
on your
You're
time.
fine.
Like I knew I didn't have my hat on when we first got out there, and I could feel the sun on my shoulders, and I just threw my shirt, and I knew if I don't get a hat on, my shoulders will be sunburned through this shirt.
Wow.
So like I feel like the actual beams of light are hotter than here. You know, we're a little bit closer to the
I was about to say
equator.
you are closer to the equator.
Yeah,
and
like
all.
I mean, just I don't know how much closer we are, but man, I could feel it. I mean,
about this far on a globe.
Beams.
yeah, I mean, the little hair I had was getting ready to catch on fire. Like it was that hot. But here in Kentucky, you step outside and you're just wet.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
yeah.
just stepping out in a cloud.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Like every time I walk outside, I feel like the air is on my skin.
I feel like I'm
it's like
a
touch
piece
me.
of steamed broccoli walking around in Kentucky is what I feel like. Just walking around sweating it out. But
Steamed oh,
anyway, hey, let's ask some more questions. So,
Okay.
what are some of the most effective and natural ways to share the good news in today's culture? So maybe you heard Sunday and you think, okay, I get it. It's my responsibility. What do I do now? How do I actually do it?
So, we were in Texas last week. I know I just said this, but we were. With
It was
our-
hot.
It was so hot, and the heat was different. It was like, okay, but we were in Texas and we went to a place. It was called Mobile Loaves and Fishes. Are you supposed to say fishes? I don't know, but that's what they got on their sign, so that's what we say. We were at Mobile Loaves and Fishes, and it's a place where they house homeless people. They're still technically considered homeless, I believe, but they live in these tiny homes that have been donated, like old campers. They're really nice. Like I would live in one tomorrow.
To be fair, there was like probably 10 campers that I saw.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are like it's 500 houses
Yeah.
on this one piece of property, and they're all brand spanking new tiny
Yeah.
homes.
Yeah.
Super, super nice.
They were very, very nice. But when we were walking around the first day that we were there, we did some cleaning and some helping out mission work while we were there. And the first day we were washing houses, and we washed this guy's house. We didn't know he was in there, but he gets out and he's walking his dog. And he was kind of curious of what we were doing, and we were just out there joking around, laughing, doing what we were told to do. And he saw what we were doing, and he came up and he was just kind of talking. And Chase, our intern that was here this summer, and Evan approached him, like, we're talking. They were super nice. They didn't come at his throat and say, hey, do you know Jesus? They weren't all like just forward about it, but they walked up to him and say, hey man, how you doing? Like, what's your name? What's your dog's name? Our students joined in a little bit and were petting the dog. We were talking, and he's talking back, and Chase finds an outlet to ask him about Jesus, and he gets into it. And the guy is actually Jew. He believes in.
He said he was Jewish, but that he
Jewish.
only believes in the Old Testament, which is
Yeah.
close to
Yeah.
Jewishness.
But it was something like we opened up that conversation, and it was really crazy because as Chase was talking, Evan was talking as well. Evan asked, or Chase asked to pray with him, and he said no. Evan asked to pray for him, and he said no. This was over the course of a conversation, and Michael walks up towards the end, and he's talking to him, having the same conversation, and he says, hey, can I pray for you?
And I had no idea that they had been talking to him about this stuff. I thought everybody
Yeah.
was just petting the dog.
Yeah, he thought we were just standing over there, but he said, hey man, can I pray for you? And he said yes this time. And I 100% believe that the Holy Spirit was working through us and through him, but I also believe that if we weren't so inviting, and if we weren't so nice to him and cared about him and his dog, like a lot of people that have had a homeless life believe that people don't care about them, and truly we do. But after he asked, we prayed over him, and I know that the Holy Spirit's going to do something with that. But it was just all about being nice. It was all about just going to them and showing them, hey, we're not here to suffocate you. We're just here to take you with us.
Yeah.
You know, and when you like situations like on a mission trip like that, but maybe you're thinking like you're in your office or in where you work, and how do you share that? You know, we live in the Bible Belt, so you can always start a conversation with, "Where do you go to church?" And they usually say something along, you know, "I don't go to church. I hate organized religion." You know, different excuses, or "I go to my Meemaw's church, you know, every Easter and Christmas or whatever." And that's a natural segue into. So what do you think about this Jesus guy? And here's the thing, you're going to have a ton of conversations that end with absolutely no resolution. Mm-hmm. But you've planted a seed.
Yep.
You become a gardener, and then you let the Lord water it.
Yeah. Something that was so interesting while we were in Austin, we got to go to one of our partner churches on Sunday morning in New City, and they were celebrating a baptism that they had. And they were baptizing this guy named Richard, and everybody knew Richard. So a much smaller scale of a church than New Work. I think we worshiped with 80 people, including us on Sunday, and it was great. I mean, college is out right now. They're reaching mostly college students, so that number will grow tremendously probably in the next couple of weeks as college starts up. But Richard had a testimony video that they shared, and he talked about 4 or 5 instances where people literally talked to him about Jesus, and he was hostile. He shut it down every time. But then he just kept going, and it was almost like every time somebody else talked to him about Jesus, even with him telling this story, he was softened just a little, just a little, just a little. And so I think there is this perception of when we're being faithful and we're sharing Jesus, we might feel like, man, I tried and it went nowhere. That is just untrue. Every seed planted is going to do something, right? So I would just say, Hannah, I think you nailed it, but just the word for me is, man, let's just be persistent. Let's be faithfully and caringly persistent. And one of my favorite things that I like to talk about with people, if I'm going to try to have a conversation about Jesus, it isn't asking them any questions. It's me kind of bombarding them and saying, can I just tell you what I feel like the Lord's doing in my life right now? And let's make Jesus contagious that way, right? Let's make it to where, man, what is the Lord doing in us? What's he talking to us? What have we seen the Lord miraculously do in and around us? And is the stories that we're telling, are they worth people following? Right?
That's such a great point, because whatever the situation is, you just heard 3 different ways of presenting the gospel right here on this podcast. 3 different approaches. Just let the Holy Spirit speak.
Yeah, I think the good reminder is that none of us can save anyone, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's all 100% the work of the Lord. And so as long as we're being faithful to Him, a great resource that I would suggest for anybody is a book by Robert Coleman called The Master Plan of Evangelism, where he just basically describes how Jesus was faithful to meet people where they're at. And I think that's important for all of us. So that'd be a good resource I'd share. Hey, we continue in Romans this week. Romans chapter 12 is where we will be.
It's a big chapter.
It's so much.
It's so good.
So I started writing a couple weeks ago, actually thinking about this particular passage. I'm on the second verse, and the sermon's done.
Here we go.
So I'm on sermon number 2. I'm gonna preach them both. So pack your lunch. No, I'm kidding.
We're going to have 4 services. It's going to be 4 hours of Paxton talking. So come on by.
Come stay for all of them. No, it is. There's so much there, but we are going to talk about how the Lord uses our surrender to bring transformation. So look forward to that.
And I think that's the key point, is the surrender part to bring transformation. Hey, we're so thankful you joined us on the Beyond Sunday podcast. I think in the history of podcast, certainly in the history of New Work podcast, is the only father-daughter podcast.
Get the trophy out.
W duo right here.
That's right. Hannah and Steve. So, and the only way Tracy will ever listen to our podcast is if we're both on it. But for the rest of you that do listen to our podcast, please like, subscribe, share, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell everybody about it. You can also find the previous week's sermon on the same platform. It comes out like on Monday or Tuesday. This usually comes out on Wednesday. So make sure you do all that. Guys, I'm so glad to have been here with all of you. Looking forward to your preaching this Sunday. If you don't know the times, it's 7:45. 9, 10, 15, 11:30. 9 gets me every time.
Yeah,
Of course, we all say first, second, third, fourth. Yeah, so.
Something going on 9:30? Absolutely not. It's the 9 o'clock. Like
That's right.
9 o'clock service. Hey guys, before we leave, I think you three should just hit us with a quick hymn. Quick little hymn.
But before we do that,
Yeah.
don't forget about Lakeside Baptism.
Lakeside Baptism, August 24th.
It's
we'll
coming
come back
up.
To your singing, and we can't sing. The Tate can tell you.
No,
we can't
Dad, do it, please.
sing. August 24th,
Let's do the
Lakeside
he will.
Baptism. Oh yeah, you could. Well, we'll have to come back to that. You can sign up in the app as I'm trying to talk about Lakeside Baptism and kill enough time that Tate makes us shut up. So Lakeside Baptism, you can sign up in the Church Center app. Once you sign up, you will be contacted by a pastor to talk about baptism and those things. One person I'm getting to baptize, I'm so excited about, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because I'll start crying and can't sing. Wait a minute, second thought. No.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, so it's amazing. I'm super honored she asked me to do that. So you got the words.
I'm trying.
What are we doing?
We're doing that hymn we did. Is the
Please,
test
that
of
he
microphones.
He will.
Now let us. Yep. Okay. So
I'll tell you what. Maybe we'll have to do it in the future episode. The
guys,
internet's just not
come
working.
on.
We don't know the
Tate,
words.
can you give us?
so-
I don't know what key. I don't know what a key
Hey,
is.
let
Other than it
them
opens my
do
car.
it, do it.
What song is it?
Hold on. All right.
And he will.
That's it. It's called A Little Talk with Jesus. We were talking about
Please.
hymns before the podcast.
I plead.
And we broke into random songs.
Oh, let us.
Have a little talk with Jesus.
Let us.
Tell him all about our troubles.
He will.
Hear our faintest cry.
And he will.
Answer by and by.
Now when you.
Have a little. That's it. I don't know.
Yes. All right. Hey, stay tuned for part 2. Good.
Yeah.
Goodbye, America. We'll see you next week. Good night.